multiple news agencies are reporting that people are seeing demons, but it's okay, it's fine, it's perfectly normal, because there happens to be a medical definition for these sightings.
Censored, here's the weird stuff I love. Imagine your vision is totally normal, and then one day you see demonic features everywhere on people only, just like this, what you see behind me. Now, that's a reality for a man named Victor Sharrah. He has extremely rare yet terrifying disorder called PMO, and it's commonly known as, or now known because people didn't know about it at first. It's called the demon face syndrome. People with the condition see parts of other people's faces distorted in shape, texture, position, or color. For Sharrah, that means grotesque, grimace, elongated eyes, and deeply etched scars. Also, pointed ears. There are 75 known cases of the disorder. My next guest.
You are now within minutes of terror, because in this video, we're going to be talking about demon face syndrome. Now, ask yourself this. Seriously, ask yourself this. Have you ever once heard in your life that there is an illness that causes people to see demons? There really is a real condition called prosopometamorphosia. Now, this condition is not so rare. Basically, it's face blindness. You can't recognize people's faces. They're either blurry or you cannot make out certain features like a nose, eyes, lips, and so forth. There can be multiple diseases and illnesses that can cause face blindness, including a stroke, head injury, inflammation of the brain, or Alzheimer's disease. So I know some people are going to say that, well, this is a thing, and you are correct. It is a thing. Face blindness is a thing. But we are talking about something completely different, something that has a different medical word. And again, this is called demon face syndrome, or by its medical word, prosopometamorphopsia. Yes, I am still struggling to pronounce that correctly, even after 20 to 30 tries. It is making my lisp work overtime. So with that being said, we're just going to go ahead and call it PMO for short, or by its street name, once again, demon face syndrome. Now, apparently, PMO alters the perception of people's faces. It doesn't put an eyeball in the forehead, or an eyeball in the mouth, or a nose in the forehead, a nose in the eye, and so forth. No. Everybody, and so far it's only been reported in 75 people, but all 75 people have reported faces to look like this. Now, while yes, this does look very demonic, because it does. That's why it's called demon face syndrome. But it also looks very reptoid. It also looks very reptilian. Isn't that just weird? If they call this reptilian face syndrome, would you even blink an eye? No, because you can clearly make out reptilian-like features. Why wouldn't they call it reptilian face syndrome or reptile face syndrome? Because it would play into that very popular conspiracy theory. Now, as I stated previously, only 75 people, or reported anyway, 75 people have demon face syndrome. But why are multiple news agencies reporting on this now? We even have ScienceDaily.com come out and make an article stating if faces look like demons, you could have this extraordinary condition. Now, here's what's weird, and I don't believe in coincidences. The 58-year-old man that they are talking about in these news articles, the man they are saying has a 31-month history of seeing people's faces distorted and, in his words, appearing demonic. Multiple news agencies and a case study researchers have stated that this 58-year-old male in New Hampshire woke up in 2020 and found that all the faces he saw were stretched out and distorted, with deep grooves on their foreheads, cheeks, and chins. This man had a 31-month history of seeing people's faces. He was studied for 31 months. Now, 31 months is a little over 2 years. So that should put it around 2022, even 2023, depending on when all this started. But they just now published this on March 23rd, 2024. But if you look this up, they are making it seem that this is something that was known back in 2018. Matter of fact, there was an article that was supposedly created on ScienceDirect.com back in June 2021, where the title was "A Century of PMO Studies." So apparently, if you were to Google this syndrome or this condition, which I'm sure many people have after reading about this condition in the news, you would think this condition has been around for a long, long time. This very bizarre, this very unique condition where people are actually seeing demons, seeing reptilian-like faces. Now, you talk to any conspiracy theorist, and a good portion of these conspiracy theorists will bring up the movie They Live. Matter of fact, when I did many of those videos on people seeing MFers on planes that were not real, a lot of people in the comment section of those videos would bring up the movie They Live, how people could put on special glasses and see the truth. So you would think someone somewhere would bring up a condition, a syndrome, where people are actually seeing the truth with their own eyes. They don't need glasses. You would think someone somewhere would connect this syndrome, this condition, to that movie. This is very bizarre. This is very weird that there have been a century, that there has been over a century of case studies. Even if, let's say, there are just 75 to 100 people that have this condition, it's now oddly coming out in 2024 that this condition exists that compares to the movie They Live. Now, one can make an argument that They Live, even though it's a great movie, and pretty much it's a documentary, for its time it wasn't really popular when it first came out, but over time it did indeed gain a following. But they are saying that this condition goes all the way back to the 1800s, to the early 1900s, and so forth. They are even saying that Picasso may have suffered with this condition. And this was an article in 2021. But these case studies were being researched in 2018. But going back to the 1800s, 1940s, early 1900s, and so forth, it has been reported that people see the exact same faces, these reptilian demon-like faces. Yet, news and media today are now spreading this around like it's something recent. I'm thinking that these articles that people can now Google that go back to 2018 and 2020 were just recently created to make it seem like demon face syndrome was something known in the past. I will use Tiffany G to go ahead and prove that point. Tiffany G's story, the woman who freaked out on her plane, was a very popular story in the news. It spread like wildfire. Many people wanted to know what Tiffany G saw. TMZ covered the story. Many news agencies covered the story. They wanted to know what she saw. One of the conspiracies is that she saw a shapeshifter, a reptilian-like person. People countered back. News agencies even countered back and stated, well, that's stupid. That is a stupid conspiracy. There is no such thing as reptilians. There is no such thing as shapeshifters. She was clearly high. She was clearly drunk. She wanted to do this for attention. She made this all up for attention. Yet, there were news articles, case studies going back to 2018, and nobody doing these case studies, nobody posting these articles made the connection between what she saw on the plane and PMO, a condition known as demon face syndrome. Somebody somewhere knew that demon face syndrome existed prior to her going berserk on her plane, overseeing what she even stated, what she even tweeted out, was a shapeshifter, was a reptilian. Yet nobody made that connection between PMO condition and Tiffany G. Make that make sense. But now, March 2024, news agencies, multiple news agencies, are now talking about demon face syndrome. I think the veil is thinning. I think these people that were flying on planes, these altitudes, were seeing something really on their flights that were not human. Because at a certain altitude, the veil was thinning, but now the veil is thinning all over the world. More and more people are going to have this condition. More and more people are going to start speaking out that they are seeing these reptilian-like faces as well. And news agencies are going to say, well, there's no conspiracy theory here. These are just wacky conspiracy theorists now saying that reptilians existed. But we knew this condition existed back in 2018, perhaps even the early 1800s. Yet, as of 2024, we're just now talking about it. So my guess is what originally started on planes is now going to take place everywhere, because something is happening. Something is causing the veil to thin. I don't know if it's 5G. I don't know if it's CERN, a combination of different factors. But whatever these are, whether they're shapeshifters, demons, reptilians, or they're probably all one and the same thing, they can no longer hold their form. So they got to come out with something called demon face syndrome to cover up the fact that they can no longer hold their form. They already have AI and deep faking locked down. So when people look very weird, very odd in photos and videos, they can just say, well, that's just AI. That's just deep faking. But when you see these people looking very weird, distorted with your own eyeballs, well, now they have that down pat too, because you just have a condition. Out of all the weird things that have been happening between 2023 and 2024, people seeing these aliens in malls, aliens in their backyard. Now they're seeing demons with their own eyes. And it's a condition. If you're buying this, you're either one of three things. You're either very gullible, you're a federal agent, or you're a bot. So the man in question, 59-year-old Victor Sharrah, he stated that his first thought was when he woke up in a demon world. Now, here's what's weird. Remember when I spoke about a condition known as facial blindness, which really does affect many people around the world? Well, they can't make sense of any type of face, even faces presented in photographs and videos. But what Victor states is quite the opposite. The distortions appear only when he sees people in person, not in photographs or through computer screens. Now, you would think, just like in facial blindness, where the brain cannot fathom looking at a face, it cannot recognize a face whatsoever, you would think the brain would follow this same pattern with demon face syndrome, but it does not. I don't even know if this is a real story. They could be using this story to push out this new condition, make us believe that somebody had this condition, multiple people have this condition, and it's going to be the norm going into the future, where people, multiple people, are now going to report seeing reptilians. This story could just be a way to condition us into seeing these very real reptilians, these very real shapeshifters, like I said, who can no longer hold their form. Looks like just another conspiracy theory coming true. Now we have reptilian shapeshifters proudly walking among us, and if you see them, you now suffer with demon face syndrome. Now you might be saying, well, the reason why it's not spoken of is because it's very rare. Only anywhere from 75 to 100 people suffer with this condition. But you have to understand there are other conditions rarer than this, such as fatal sleep insomnia. The familiar version, which only affects about 8 to 10 people, has made its way around the news prior to this, way prior to this. I'm sorry, I'm just not buying this whatsoever. I'm guessing the veil is so thinned out, or perhaps disappearing altogether, they now need these bogus stories, these bogus conditions to cover their tracks. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.